All right. Welcome back to another episode,
Quirky
guys.
things.
Hope y'all are doing well. This is episode 168. Run the intro.
This is hopefully a other side. I was going to say sequel, but it's not the same person making the video. I don't know. Last video we did some girl showing like American houses, things you won't see in France. But like she didn't do a part 2. I wanted to see like the flip side. So Brian found someone who did like something similar.
Well, they actually went through their French house, the South of France house tour. So that's what it says here. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but I'm talking about the last video. Like I was like, oh, maybe she did one of.
It would have been nice to compare the actual houses.
Like I want to see a French house now later.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
So it's kind of like a part 2 of that one, if you will. But so it's by Not Even French, and it says quirky things you find in French homes. All right, so let's see.
Okay, great.
Sally YouTube, how's it going? I am outside right now because I thought
No one better than to show us a French house than a non-French person.
I could do a wee video on the differences between French homes and I guess non-French homes, or maybe non-European homes, the little quirks that I have realized make French homes, I guess, what they are, and the differences compared to what we find in New Zealand. And for this, I'm going to start outside because I'll start at the beginning of the driveway, because the first thing that I wanted to show you, in fact, was these gates. Now, these kinds of gates that exist at the front of properties, let me just focus on that for you. These kinds of gates that exist at the fronts of properties that, you know, allow people to enter or not enter, for me, that's very much something that you would find in a house that was basically, you know, a mansion, or for celebrities, or in a very prestigious gated community. Yeah. What you find in France is that's actually really common. We're in the south of France right now. This is a standard family home, and yet, you know, there is this big gate that allows you to beat in and enter the property, which I find quite hardcore.
I like it.
And it's definitely not the only one. Just walking around in the neighborhood, very standard houses, having quite hardcore, heavy, you know, electronic gates, big gates.
So that's what she was talking about in the other video. How like in the front, they block off in France, it looks like.
Yeah, I thought she meant like fences.
Well, that is
like,
kind of a fence.
No, like dividing, not horizontally, but like vertically. Like your yard, my yard. This is like open the palace gates.
Which it still probably divides the yards of neighbors.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Property. And I guess there's two things going on here. Privacy, which has always, you know, been really important to the French, and security as well. I'm not sure how much of the worry around the security is founded or not founded, but those gates are definitely something that's quite typical to be found. I just love it when this happens. I love when you see these colourful flowers and vines against the south of France home.
So pretty.
That is nice.
I love that.
Greenery growing on the house.
Greenery growing.
It's probably like a weed or something, and I find it really classy. Okay, so I don't necessarily want to show the entire house in a lot of detail to respect the privacy of my beaux-parents, but let me show you some things that are quite typical that we do find here in France. Now, firstly, because it is in summer and it is hot, we have these big volets, these big sort of shutters in both doors and windows. Hold up, let me just give you a better shot of them.
What? Why?
That's so interesting.
I feel like a cage, like it'd be caged in.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like you have the option to open them, but...
I mean, not those panels.
And these quite often stay
straight
closed
down
throughout the day in summer because it's just so hot. And you often find these blinds like this.
Yeah, that's stressing me out.
In addition, to help us keep the heat out. As you can see as well, the houses do tend to be made more so of sort of stone.
That's nice.
And more sort of concrete-like materials. This is almost like a concrete mix with this very typical kind of sandy color. and they paint this over the outside of the wall as well. It's got a bit of a sandpaper feel to it, I would say. And then typically in terms of the shutters, you would find like a sage green, a soft baby blue, or white. That would be the typical. I have seen some purple, I've seen some yellow, but I would say those were like kind of fun and out there choices for the person living there. The classic is very much a soft blue or a soft green. Now I think we can go inside and I'll show you some quirky wee features of French homes. Oh, and just before we go inside, you know you're in the south of France when you hear the seagull, when you hear the cicadas everywhere. Listen to this.
That happens in Texas a lot too.
Okay, first things first.
I think that's like a relaxing sound.
It's annoying and then it becomes relaxing.
Once you get used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because when it stops, you're like, oh, what happened? You know?
Yeah. It is nice though.
Just look at the thickness of these walls. These big, thick stone walls. Even these smaller walls inside the house, they're very thick, they're very well insulated. It is a big change from the little wooden boxes that we have in New Zealand, that's for sure. And obviously keeps houses really cool in summer and really warm in winter too. Whew, it is hot over here, and as you can imagine, it's very rare to find AC, air conditioning, in French homes. I've talked extensively on this channel about how allergic the French are to air conditioning, and so no surprises here. It's definitely a very moderate temperature at the moment, but we do have like the shutters closed and the blinds down. It can get very, very hot inside. Now, I would say that this is very typical. You don't often find carpet in French homes, definitely in the south of France. Their floors tend to be tiled with a tile like this.
It's like Spanish style, it feels like. Yeah.
And speaking of tiles, I will show you more because you've got them in the bathroom, you've got them in the kitchen. You often do have decorative wall tiles up in houses as well. I would say it's also quite typical to find things that are quite supersized. Like, check out the size of this fireplace.
Wow.
And also quite
That's
typical
nice.
to find very large mirrors as well, especially with this kind of goldish
That's
frame.
nice.
I think as well because everything seems so
like the one we
old in
have.
France. For someone coming from a newer country, a newer culture like mine, you know, I look at things all the time and I'm like, it's really hard for me to ascertain. Like, was this painting $5 at an antique store? Or is it worth 500? Like, I would just have zero idea. But because there are a lot of older paintings and artwork and it's in a French house, for me it's just automatically fancy, and that's probably, you know, not even the case. But you do often find very beautiful images here in the south of France, of the south of France. Walking into the kitchen now, these are some of the tiles I was telling you about before. Very, very, very typical to see tiles like that. But look at the size of this big overhead range hood, right? Just in this big old south of France farmhouse. Of course, in every French home, you'll find somewhere special to store the bread. Some baguette. And funnily enough, even in large family kitchens like this, there's no oven. There's no oven. They've just got a small, you know, microwave and then sort of
Like a toaster oven?
Small
cooktop
family
oven.
home. That's a pretty big home.
And I'm not sure why, but ovens seem to be less popular in France, I would say. You know, you have like a barbecue or grillade, you know, to cook meat and stuff on. But yeah, it would be unthinkable in New Zealand for a larger family home like this to not have an oven. Another thing that is quite rare to find in a French kitchen is a garbage disposal. So it would be very common in New Zealand to have a sink and a garbage disposal. And
See,
here
New
they
Zealand
just
has
keep it classic and old school with a nice big sink. Oh, I wanted to show you these as well, the sockets. I find them quite funny because they've got the pin coming out as well.
Oh.
Look at that. It's like you've got two holes plus the pin that goes back into the device as well.
Oh,
That's interesting.
that is interesting. Yeah. Because I was thinking, like, if you have a universal adapter, charger, whatever.
Yeah. You're saying would that work like the French one?
Yeah.
Maybe
Also,
not.
The two holes that are empty right there, it looks like it stops at the wall. It doesn't even look like it goes into the... Right?
It does,
I
yeah.
don't know. Maybe it
I've never
doesn't.
seen that before. Quite often in the kitchen you can find the washing machine in there as well. It's not the case in this house, but this is what you do see. A dish rack full of clothes drying. Why? Because there's no clothes dryer. Having a clothes dryer is very, very rare in France. I think it's for two reasons: that it's not super ecological and also it costs quite a lot to run. Speaking of the old furniture before as well, you often have just
I know.
old furniture lying around. For example, look at this random chair just sitting here. It can all feel quite Louis
She's like whispering like that she's going to offend the chair.
Vuitton vibe. And again, it's probably just a chair from a garage sale or something. What I will say is that I find in the typical French home, you do have a lot of books. Education is very important to French people, and I find that having big, full bibliothèque or library bookshelves are almost compulsory. It's super messy, but this is just the bookshelf in the downstairs office. Oh, and this is funny as well. I think because the French language is so complex, French families often have these massive, massive dictionaries for their own language, like the French language dictionary. And speaking of another kind of book that you find everywhere in French homes, we're just going to turn the light on, bande dessinée, comic books everywhere. Now this is just a random little créneau, like a little slot in the hallway, and it is full of comic books.
That's cool. Open one.
You should see how many there are in the bedrooms. Speaking of bedrooms, look at the size of the pillows that you use in France. And in New Zealand, we would probably exclusively use them in a decorative sense. But here, you sleep on them like this size. I'm trying to get the scale in. It's like this whole ass pillow, and you're just sleeping all the way down here. I mean, in terms of space wastage,
Oh, it's like a square.
That's a giant pillow,
it's
yeah.
quite a lot. And something that you will definitely not find in a French bedroom, at least typically anyway, is a TV. The French are very much separation between work and life, and you know, even devices, TVs, that kind of thing are much less likely, in my opinion, to be found in a bedroom. In the bathroom, the OG viewers of Not Even French, you know what I'm about to show you. Okay, I'm about to hop in the shower, but as you'll see, you can't see any shower head up here. Why? Because it's down here. Yes, it is very typical to have the pedal of the shower head slung across.
You have to hold that up like that.
I mean, it's doable, but wouldn't you
It just seems more
not?
annoying though.
Why don't you have your shower hanging from the top? I'm
Yeah,
confused.
that's so interesting.
Like that, and it's also very typical
A big tub.
to have the shower over the bathtub with no shower curtain. What this means is that you pick the pedal up and you wash yourself like that, and you have to stop the water flow so that you can lather the soap on yourself. You put the pedal down and you lather the soap on yourself. Then you start the water again and then you wash it off. This is the classic way to have a French shower. Most French people would agree that they shower that way to preserve water and not to waste it. So it's good.
Why don't you just turn off the water over, like, it's the same thing. The difference is you have to put more work.
Yeah, I know, I agree.
Like, do your stuff, turn it off while you're shampooing. I don't know.
Yeah,
Same
I agree.
effort each night. That's humbling. We're very spoiled over here.
For the environment, but it's also good for their money as well, because you do pay for water in some regions of France. And then, of course, we've got this quirky little thing. Dun 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 dun, the bidet.
Oh, the bidet, yeah.
I had never seen one of these before coming to France, and I have to admit, I was taken aback. So the bidet, as you can see, it is a lot lower than the bathtub.
How do you sit in that?
And the idea behind it, I believe, is to squat over it, and it will spurt water up to help you keep everything down there clean.
So I wanted to try a bidet for the
Like
past
a classic one, or the ones that
I mean,
have in like
whichever.
Asia?
Oh, that's a classic one.
I think those are like the OG ones. I mean, ow, fuck.
Interesting.
But then like the ones we have here, they're
The
like built
attachments.
into the toilet. It's a whole different thing.
Oh, cool. Well, yeah, but there's also attachments you can buy.
Yeah. Which,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's probably all right.
And here's another example of the tiles, the kinds of tiles you'll find in the bathroom.
Those are nice, yeah.
Never seen this before either. Windows that open, to me
I
at
love
least,
that.
like doors. They open in the middle like that. And you open
You guys
them
did
up.
well with that one.
That's nice. Yeah, I like that.
Cool friends, so I hope that you enjoyed these wee quirks and features of French homes. Obviously France is a large country with a lot of different regions and a lot of different styles. We are here in the south of France near Avignon, just for context. I would love to know for you if you found anything surprising, if it's similar or different to where you come from. And otherwise, thanks so much for watching to the end. I'll catch you here next time on the Not Even French YouTube channel. A bientôt!
That's cool. I think like it makes sense because I know a lot of them don't have AC, they were saying, so like to shut the light out or shut the sun out, that does make sense.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but you were saying it kind of would feel trapped a little bit with the way it
A
looks.
little scary.
Yeah.
But anyway, get an AC. No, I'm kidding.
The oven thing is weird too. I would have thought that you guys would have had more ovens.
I mean, the only thing I could think of is the only thing I could think of is because there's no ventilation, like maybe
yeah,
it would just trap more heat in there.
that could I guess that could make sense. Yeah. I don't know if you guys are French or anyone out there has lived in France. Let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. Leave some comments down below, and we'll see you on the next one.
Hopefully we didn't offend anyone.
We didn't say anything bad.
And if we did, I'm sorry. I'm not French. I don't know.
All right. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye.
Peace.